not think that Andre wrote this hook. Throw your hands in the air,
Wave them like
wave
you
them like
just
you
don't
just don't
care.
care.
Yeah.
And if you like fish and
Fish and
grits and
grits and
all
all
the
that
pimp
pimp
shit,
shit. Everybody knows who to
that's
say.
definitely Big Boy.
So today is going to be an interesting thing. This is one of my first notes was this is the first song from my side that we've covered that's many consider to be pretty problematic. So it'll be an interesting conversation. This is OutKast's ATLiens, the song, not the album, and Sweet Home Alabama by Lynyrd Skynyrd, which ought to be an interesting conversation.
Where you want to go?
Um,
You want to know what? Actually, I want to start with Sweet Home Alabama.
okay, let's do that.
And I'm going to, because here's why I'm going to challenge you a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to challenge you to tell me why this song is great and not just good, because that's mostly what I hear. I hear a really good song and
Okay.
not a great one. So I'm going to challenge you today to kind of give me some insight onto what makes this song great. Because I'll tell you something. This is one of those songs that, like in the Black community, when we joke or when we're not joking about being assimilated or
Mm-hmm.
institutionalized into the white fabric of society, this is one of those things.
Yeah.
Because I know this record and I don't know why. And when I listened to it, I was like, hold on. I'm like, what is it exactly so great about this record? And why am I familiar with it?
Mm.
It's like, oh, because I've been institutionalized by the white man.
Yeah.
And although, and this is why I'm saying most of the time when I feel that way about a song that we've done is in I'm familiar,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know why I'm familiar. Once I listen to the song a few times,
Mm-hmm.
I usually have some clarity about why I'm familiar due to the quality of the record. I
Right.
don't know if this record has this. That's why I'm asking you those questions.
Okay. So that touches on a lot of things that I wanted to talk about. So, um, first of all, you're not going to catch me in here defending Sweet Home Alabama as being one of the all-time great songs. That's
Okay.
not what we're going to be here. Like it is a they have plenty of other songs that are better, I think. As a band, the Southern rock world has plenty of other songs that are better too. Um, I am a much bigger Allman Brothers fan than Lynyrd Skynyrd for sure. But I think you know this song to answer your question more directly because it is it has become something more than just a song.
Okay. It's a cultural piece.
I think it's and not just like you go to a high school baseball game or whatever, they're playing it as walk-up music or it's played in like football stadiums and it's played in those kind of contexts too. In the like wider culture over the PA systems and whatever else. Um,
Right.
it's I don't want to necessarily compare it to the Confederate flag, but it is certainly like it
Got some
takes the song has
connotations.
taken on some of those things too. Like it means something, the song itself means something beyond just the lyric and just the guitar riff and just the singing. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. But before, okay, so like, so that would make that means there's two parts of it to unpack. There's
Hmm.
the cultural relevance and stigmatism side of it
Yeah,
too,
right.
because this does feel like good old boy music.
It
Some
is. It is. There's no
Confederate
question about that.
flag, some Confederate flag waving, Budweiser drinking. You know what I'm saying?
There's a Confederate flag on the like on the single cover, like when they
Oh,
release a
really?
single, there's yeah. Like um
This is Leonard Skinner,
it's
right?
like a face from like here to here. I just saw this morning. I didn't know this until today, but it's a face from like here to here, and there's like a flag like on the lip, like kind of like that. Um,
Fascinating.
yeah.
This is Leonard Skinner, right?
Yep, Miss Leonard Skinner. This was released in 1974, which is still, especially in Alabama, near the height of a lot of the um, racial stuff in the United States. Um, Funnily enough, Ronnie Van Zant, the guy who wrote the song, the singer, is not from Alabama. Is from Jacksonville, Florida. But
Fascinating. Oh, I see what you're talking about. Nice little Confederate flag right
mhm.
there.
Oh yeah,
Okay. 1974. Oh, and they're performing. Oh, so they performed this song behind Confederate flags too.
Yeah. I was not, I mean, I was not joking about like the association between the two. Like they're, and I like, I don't, it's hard to know whether, because Ronnie Van Zant, I mean, he didn't live very long, so it's hard to know whether he would have repudiated it in his older days, or he was putting on a show for his audience, like he was giving them what they wanted or whatever, or he really
Right.
believed in shit. I don't know, but like, um, I mean, he died along with like half the band in
A plane crash, right?
1977. Yeah, they were in a plane crash. They were going from Greenville, South Carolina, actually, to Louisiana, and the plane crashed into a tree and killed him and like 5 or 6 other people, I think.
Yeah,
So
because it used to be a
he was
large band, right?
29, I believe, when he died.
Mm.
So
Malcolm X would call that chickens coming home to roost.
yeah, yeah,
Hmm. Or young Malcolm would call it that.
yeah.
Not pilgrimage, El
Right, sure.
Malik, Malcolm. So, so do you think? Let me ask you something. You know what I mean? First of all, I mean, and not being funny, as a white man, how does this song make you feel? Like knowing these things as an educated white man. Let's
Like,
take the fact, like I don't even want to. Let's not look at it from a race perspective or the fact
mhm.
that we're close friends. I want to know how you, as an educated white man and somebody who is a teacher, feels about it. And not like I'm offended because I understand what we're doing and the purpose, but I think it's important that you share your thoughts and feelings about it, not just musically, but personally, because of the sensitive nature of how this song is
Yeah,
framed and being because of the target audience.
right, right. Because I am the target audience, right? Like
Well,
that's
I don't see that's the thing. I don't think
or
you're the
or
target
at least
audience.
adult white men is a target
Right.
audience,
I'm about to
right?
say you're the
Southern,
demographic, but you're not the target
right?
audience. You know what I'm saying? You're the
No, like
demo, but not the target.
here's the
Like you're
thing,
not the guy
like
that they're going to sell this to.
there are like my favorite music in the world is music that I would identify as Southern. Um,
Okay.
I would, I love singer-songwriter stuff, like just a guy on a guitar, a guy on the piano, or a woman in the piano. Um, I one of the conversations we're going to have to get into, and one of the reasons I paired these two songs was a conversation about what it means to be Southern and what it means to be a Southern man, because both of them reference that. I have to turn off my ethical compass, I guess. Does that make sense? Like
Mhm.
if I am just like it's a great song for like rolling down your window and in the summertime and riding to. Like it's
Mhm.
that kind of feel to it.
Mhm.
Because it has country um background, obviously. Like it is a country rock song, or I guess you would call it that. It's got blues guitar riffs, it's got that honky tonk piano in it. Um so it's got a lot of pieces that are make it a pleasurable listening experience, right? Like if I'm like just zoning out and ignoring the lyrics, and which are have lots of issues, obviously we'll get to that later. So songs of this genre, Lynyrd Skynyrd, Allman Brothers, those kind of things are appealing to me in the way that the vocal stylings sound, not the lyrics, but like the vocal melodies and the like
No, I get what you're saying.
the scratchiness in the voice and like the soul singer parts of the voice. And in the extended guitar kind of jamming stuff. I mean, Freebird is a much more famous example of that than Sweet Home Alabama is. Sweet Home Alabama doesn't, I mean, it does have that guitar riff and the piano in it, but it's not the same as a lot of Southern rock songs. So it is a thing that I enjoy kind of as a cultural artifact, and do like when I listen to it now, like I obviously listened to it a couple times in preparation for this again because
Me too.
it's not a thing that I would normally listen to. It is catchy. Like it is. It's
It
not
is
like
catchy.
catchy like some of their other ones. Like "Give Me 3 Steps" is catchier. Some of their other less famous ones are I think
That's what I
"Simple
mean.
Man"
That's
is catchier. I think.
But that's what I mean when I was like, well, tell me what's really great, because I get that this song is catchy, but
Mhm.
even compared to some of the other catchier stuff that we've done, it's like, well, it's not even as catchy as like, you can't always get what you want. You know
No,
what I'm
definitely
saying?
not.
It's not
Definitely
that
not.
level of catchy. And so that's why I was like, well, hold on. I'm like, this song is just good. And then I start questioning, why am I familiar with it? And then at the point that we bring up the Confederate flag, it's like, well, now I'm uncomfortable because now it feels like this song's been forced upon us culturally because it represents something and it's not musical. You get what I'm
Right.
saying?
No, no, the song, I will say, or in my opinion, that this song is not famous because of the music. It's famous because of what it symbolizes. Like, I do think that. I also think
Wow.
it's famous-ish.
That's a little troubling.
I told you at the beginning this was like a troubling thing, and we haven't even gotten into the lyrics of supporting
And
George
you want to know
Wallace and
what's
so forth and
crazy?
so on.
Is that I usually do a dig like that when we do songs too, Andrew. And about this song that I didn't, because this is the first song that we've done in a long time where I was like, well, I actually just got some quality questions for homie. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And so I was like, I was gonna be, this was gonna be one of those shows in my mind where it was like, oh no, Andrew gonna have to convince me that this shit is hot and break it down for me.
No. And I don't. I'm not like if we were doing like the Allman Brothers whipping post, for example, I would have some information for you on that. But like this one, also the other part that comes with this is that it's really incredibly easy to play on the guitar. It's a 3 chord song too, basically.
No, I can hear
So,
that. I heard the three chords. Yes.
mhm. So it's I think that helps, and I'll drop in here and show people how to play it because it's just like hammering on and hammering off like open strings, like the kind of like that,
Mhm.
and it's it's one of those I think that has helped its being famous, honestly, is that it is a song that sounds not difficult, but sounds more complicated to play than it really is. And it means that more people can play it in coffee shops and karaoke bars and shit like that. I think that's part of it too. And it's not melodically complicated to sing either.
Now, that is one thing that I did notice is like, well, part of the buy-in is the simplicity. It's easy to remember, it's easy to say, it's easy to sing. And vocally, is this band considered to be great vocally? Because I didn't hear that either. So
No.
that's what I mean. And also,
I
too,
mean,
there's the
good,
buy-in that maybe
yes,
you
but
can
not
sing.
like no.
Yeah. Okay, I heard all those things. That's why I had quality questions because I'm
Yeah.
like, well, not as catchy, and they're not really like these awesome singers. It's definitely not no Freddie Mercury shit
No,
going
hell
on. You
no.
know
No,
what
no,
I'm
no.
saying? It's
No, no,
not
no,
even in
no.
that stratosphere. And so that's why I was having the quality questions because I wasn't hearing the voice stand out. And as far as catchiness goes in popular culture songs, and so this has racial overtones to why it's being pushed because the quality of the record, like, and this is what I mean. Well, this song gets played in movies and TV commercials with
Oh yeah.
frequency the entirety of my life.
Hmm. Yeah, and they don't,
And it's
and
about
obviously
the
they don't play
whiteness
the
of
"In
and
Birmingham We Love the Governor" right parts
right.
on the commercials. But yes, it's um I mean there's a fucking movie with Reese Witherspoon called Sweet Home Alabama. Like,
Correct. There's a whole movie. And so that's what I mean is that like this is the this is where black people it's like, oh no, no, no. This is that institutionalization and stuff being forced upon us. Because that's why I said it's like I'm familiar with the song, commercials,
yeah.
TV, film, my whole life. Like
And
this record.
it is done for
And why this record? Like that's what I mean. It's like think about like not
because
to
of
be
what it
funny. That's why
represents.
right because it's like that's why I kind of brought up Freddie Mercury because it's like well I'm familiar with a lot of Queen shit, but
Hmm.
then I realized it's like well I'm familiar with Queen shit because Queen shit really dope, Andrew,
Yes, it is.
and
Yes, it
Freddie
is.
can really sing his ass off. You feel me? And so it's like when
And
I'm
all
listening,
of
it's
the
like
members of that band are really good musicians.
that's what I mean. So it's like when I'm listening to it, it's like oh well, I know I've been hearing this my whole life. These motherfuckers can blow. They can
Hmm.
play. They can
Yeah.
sing. They
Yep.
got style. They got
Yep.
swag. I get it. I don't get any of this. out of this record.
Mm. Yeah. I'm not going to sit here and try to defend it. Like, it's not, to me, it doesn't rise to the level of, I don't say really any song that we've covered, but like, it's not, I wanted to cover it because I wanted to talk about what it meant to be Southern in different communities, because these two songs kind of
Mm-hmm.
um, imply that, or what it meant. Because I think what it meant in Alabama in 1974 is not what it means to me now, right?
Mm-hmm.
But and obviously ATLiens has a different version of what it means to be Southern as well. I wanted to talk about it because I think it's an important song, not because I think it's a great song. Does that make sense? It's
Yes.
one that's an interesting conversation.
Yeah.
And I
No,
think
no,
it's an
no.
important
Okay.
conversation for especially the two of us to have,
No,
both
no, I
as
totally
people of
get that
different
now.
races and as people who both identify as Southern, um, and to kind of parse that a little bit.
No, I can understand that perspective. That's why it's like, no, I have music questions because it's like the song's just not it. Okay,
Yeah.
but about the discourse and about what it represents, oh yeah, that's definitely conversational. So there are two things that I'd like to interject into this
Mhm.
discourse right quick, if I
Yeah.
may.
Sure. Sure.
Here's the first one. And this is relatable to the other artist that we're covering, which is OutKast.
Hmm.
So Sweet Home Alabama is getting made in 1974, released in 1974, okay?
Correct.
This is one of those things that's troubling within the souls of black folks. On OutKast's first album, Southern Playlist of Cadillac Music, it got released April 30th, 1994.
Hmm.
Or April 28th, 1994. Literally came out a week after Illmatic. Or
Hmm.
419, well, 419 and 427. Yeah, Illmatic's 419 and Southern Playalistic is 427. Those albums got released a week apart. That'll
Hmm.
never happen in hip hop again. Um, never,
No.
never be two albums released that good back to back weeks ever again. Um, the interlude, which is funny, we're covering the second single off the second album, but on the second single off the first album, it's called Southern Playlist of Cadillac Music.
Right.
The name of the second single is actually the name of the album, Southern Playlist of Cadillac Music. But before Southern Playlist of Cadillac Music comes on, there's an interlude called Welcome to Atlanta.
Hmm.
And one of the things that they highlight on the Welcome to Atlanta interlude in 1994 is how the Capitol building was still flying the Confederate battle flag.
Right.
It highlights that. It's
Hmm.
highlighting that because it's still touchy.
Yeah.
74, 84, 94. So, first of all, I'm not going to castigate Lynyrd Skynyrd totally for these beliefs in 1974.
Mm.
And I'm going to explain to you why, which is part two. And you and I have had this discourse before. The neighborhood and the community that I lived in, that I am raising my daughter in, is predominantly white and
Mhm.
affluent. I do not come from those type of circumstances and background. And I did not want my daughter, quite frankly, growing up in the same circumstances and background that I did, because
Mhm.
environmentally, I know environmentally and systemically what impoverished situations do. Now, when I drive 20 minutes to work in True, I literally go from this affluent neighborhood to arguably the most affluent neighborhood in this entire state to work. You name it lives up there. If there are famous black people,
Mhm.
about 30 to 50% of them live in this area too. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So this isn't just an affluent area for the whites anymore that I'm moving into. It's like, how about this? Andre 3000, when I worked in this same place 10 years ago, used to regularly come in with his business manager because his
Mhm.
business manager lived in the area. You know,
Okay. Yeah.
this ain't no broke motherfucker type of place.
Right.
The back road that I take, and literally, and I know that they're wealthy because they own land in this area. There's a family, Andrew, that literally owns a stretch of land in East Cobb. You can see their horses and their cows and their fields. Now, between the trees they've had strategically put up and between their fences, you can't see onto their land, but it stretches and it's wide. And this is a very residential area. So,
Mhm.
not a lot of people have land like this. In the 14 years that I've been in this area, I haven't seen one piece of property with more land than that stretch that I pass on theirs.
Mhm.
And when you pass their house, their gate is always open, Andrew. And guess what you see every time the gate is open, hanging from the front of their house.
Yeah.
And I've said this to white people in the community who I've befriended and am friends with. Well, my issue isn't that they're waving the fucking flag. My issue is that all of you who pass by it every day, like I do, don't say anything about it or do anything about it. And that's the problem with records like this being ascended into radio, into TV, into mainstream life is that people know that it's wrong, but you're literally being bullied in your own community.
Right.
And forcing us to deal with it. The people who live in the community need to do the right thing, and not because my black ass drives by it every day. They need to do it because they know that it's wrong. And I want you to understand, this is a neighborhood where I see people walk past, walk their dogs, walk their children, walk their families past this fucking estate every fucking day. People need to understand these are the things that we deal with, and this is why it's really, really an issue. So I'm just giving you a contextualization of it, of how black people feel about it in music, and how I actually have to deal with it every day. And I'm going to have to deal with it every day when I go to work, when we get done doing this show. I'm going to pass the same house that I'm talking about. If I have time today, I'll stop and try to take a picture for you.
Okay.
Because it's an estate. Like, you could literally pull up to the front of their gate, and there's so much space and so much land even on the driveway that
I don't want to be like it's a plantation house, but that's what it sounds like you're describing. Like,
the front house looks like an old farmhouse. Yeah. And when I mean they have neighbors, they have a whole community right across the street from them, full neighborhood. School bus, kids pull up. Whole stretch of nice houses right next to the whole estate. Nobody says a word. Mm-hmm. So these are the things that when we talk about it being indoctrinated into society, that's the insult. These are the issues with a song like this, per se. Like, the reality of the song. It's the allowance of it. It's not that you made the record. It's like, oh, you allow that to happen? Like, look at it like this. When Kanye do some dumb shit, you see how we jump on him, right?
Oh, yeah.
You see how black people jump on Kanye?
Oh, yeah, they're all up. Yeah.
They'll stick their foot up his ass and proverbially leave it there. There's some people with their shoestrings still up Kanye's ass about some things that he said some years ago. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so what my community typically looks for in the situations is what we give out. You know, I texted somebody who's part of the it's Pride down here.
Right.
And I actually texted somebody that I was having a discourse with that's part of the trans queer community. Okay.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, because they were talking about the hierarchy of oppression and how they're at the bottom, which I would agree with for the most part. But what I was submitting to them is that I said, hey, did you ever think, or do you ever think that this city will let straight black men congregate down here every year and literally take over this entire city the way they allow your community to? I said, do you think they trust black men enough to do that? These are the dynamics and the issues that we're really dealing with. You know what I mean? Now you start throwing a flag up into this shit when slavery been over. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, there's other things going on even within my own community that we are discoursing about. And so you shouldn't have to bear this burden, is really what I'm saying.
Right.
And so it's really not too much. It's not too much to ask to be like, hey, take care of your own the way we take care of ours. Like, white people don't shut black people up. Black people shut black people up. I ain't never seen a white person make a black man be quiet that he couldn't arrest. You feel me?
Yeah.
Or murder. You feel me? So it's like, audit your own circumstances and situation is kind of like the thing over here, I think.
I see what you're saying.
And I would like to then pass the floor over to you.
The main question I wanted to ask you, which you just responded to, was like, how is the song perceived in Black America? Like, how is this? Because I knew it wasn't positive, obviously, but I think that's an important conversation to have, an important dialogue for you to explain. Like I'm a literature teacher, so it reminds me of two things. It reminds me of James Baldwin's Notes of a Native Son, where he talks about, I mean, he's in New Jersey at that time, but like he's still, but it's also 1942, 3, something like that. So still not great racially, obviously. Um, but talking about not crisis events necessarily, but like just the building of one thing and another and another and another and another, and the feeling you can't get away from it. And that's, I think, what you're describing, or what it feels from my perspective from what you're describing.
Yes, there's a house in Powder Springs, Georgia, about 15 minutes from my church on the main road.
Hmm.
Literally 20-foot pole, Confederate flag. I put it in my Instagram stories one day, and I was playing "Can't Trust It" by Public Enemy
Hmm.
with the flag. I
Yeah,
was selling life insurance in Powder Springs one day, and I drove by, and it's just like this house with just this flag, and I'm like, oh, y'all just gonna drive by every day and just let? Oh, okay, like okay. That's my problem. It's like, oh no, I don't have a problem with the guy that put up the flag. Let me tell you why. He's letting me know who he is.
exactly. You just
I
know
I
to
like to look at I like to know who don't love me and who don't fuck with me and who wants me gone. Because at least we have an
a
understanding
clear understanding. Yes.
about what it is and what it is not. So the guy that's in the house that put up the flag, oh, me and him don't have any problem because we won't be crossing paths because it's gonna be best for you and your
And you.
health and for me that we stay away from each other. It's the rest of you I can't trust because y'all are allowing him to do this.
Mm.
And you're coming to me and telling me that you're not racist.
You better say
That
something then.
if you're not, then you got to do something about that. That's the problem. That's
Hmm.
why it's like when we were having the discourse, it's like, well, if people would immerse themselves, racism wouldn't really exist. That's what I'm saying. If you really felt enough away about it, you would go knock on that door and tell them that you're being a poor representation of your community, and that won't be happening in this community. So take the flag down and get the fuck out the community. That's the problem. The problem is not the guy. We know that guy exists. That
Right.
guy is letting it be known it exists, and he's not ashamed. It's like, no, you letting that guy live in your community, but you want to come shake my hand? I'm just 41, and I feel this way about like I have friends, Andrew,
Hmm.
who I love dearly, but I don't really deal with them because they deal with people that have said things and done things to me.
Okay.
Like, I don't tolerate those types of things from my people.
Right.
Like, as in, if you consort with somebody who's been talking bad about me behind my back or not wishing me well, or somebody who you know has taken my name and dragged it through the mud or said things that aren't true, and you choose to consort with that person, well, I'm done with you as a black man or a black woman if you do that to me. Now, how you think I feel about some white people?
Hmm.
Just just being real about it,
Yeah.
And so at the end of the day, it's just like, no, you got to keep your own front yard clean, and that's quite frankly, like literally and proverbially, black society's biggest problem with white society is that, well, you forced us to clean up your yard, and now we still having to clean up your fucking mess.
Hmm.
You feel me? It's like
Yeah.
we were forced to clean up the yard, slavery,
Right.
but now we're the ones that have to clean up the mess. It's like, oh hell no. Oh hell no. And that's why, Andrew, I want you to understand most of my black friends don't mess with white people. Like at all.
Okay.
When I mean at all, I mean at all. I mean most of my black friends don't have any white friends. It's bad out here.
Okay.
Yeah, it's bad. Like songs like this are gonna keep us forever apart. Like I'm clear on that on this side. It's a forever thing. Like I don't think you understand. Most of my black friends don't have a white friend, Andrew. Like none. Because they don't trust white people at all. Not even a little bit. Like most of my friends who you hear me talk about,
Hmm.
this down here when I'm talking about them, you'll never see a white person with them. If you see a white person with them, I bought them. Just keeping it real.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm just my mother's child in the sense that my mother just kind of accepted everybody, and that was just kind of how she
Yeah.
ran the house, and so that's kind of how I was raised. But I'm very pro-black, and everybody knows that. But I'm also very accepting, and everybody knows that. But yeah, my black friends don't be having no white friends down here. Most of my black friends don't come see me, Andrew, because I live on the white side of town. They're afraid to even come up here. Most of my
Mhm.
friends on the south side and on the east side or in the city, they're not coming up here to white ass Cobb County. It's serious. My father doesn't come see me about it being too far up in here. My brothers, they're like, yeah, it's like, I'm black. They might just stop me just because and they're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially you coming up here out of county tags, like come with some Fulton and DeKalb tags up to this white ass neighborhood. It's like, yeah. That's why my car got more miles than all my friends. If I want to have a life, I gotta get out of this area. Ain't nobody coming to see me up here. hmm So songs like this just just increases the distance, man. I really don't know how else to express it. Songs like this just increase the distance. What it represents. And this is what I mean about auditing it. I want you to understand this. This is just me. Like Andrew, I mean, I didn't look up the cover of the song or anything. Part of why I didn't look it up is because I'm so damn familiar with the song.
Right.
But the fact that I can go pull up Lynyrd Skynyrd, Sweet Home Alabama, and go to the image section and see, let me see, 1, 2, 3,
It's the header image on Wikipedia.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hold on, almost done. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah, just going through their page one time, just putting in Lynyrd Skynyrd
Mm-hmm.
and Sweet Home Alabama and going to the images, 16 Confederate flags.
Yeah.
That's
So I
just
think
if
the
you go
point.
that's just if you go through the first search. 16 Confederate flags. This is what I mean about auditing the circumstances. It's like, okay, so you know this song exists. You've already forced it on us. And you can't even like show us the respect of taking the images with the flag down. You get what I mean about
Yeah.
auditing the circumstances? It's like, oh, you're gonna let the song live, but you're gonna let the racist part of the song live too. This is where the trust gets broken. This is why That's why my black friends, quite frankly, all the time will Coop, you're better than me because I don't trust these white people. This is why.
Hmm. It seems that
They don't have no Andrew they've known since they were 15. They didn't go to
right,
no West Charlotte.
right, which is why both of our relationship is important, I think. I mean, it's important to us, but I think it's important also to the wider world to see like people having hard conversations like this and
Mm-hmm.
giving like voice to that kind of thing because I mean, honestly, most people are watching, at least at this point, are watching this channel because of you. I mean, like that's you, like most of them have come over from According to Hip Hop. They have. I mean, that's just real. So like seeing at least one person who doesn't look like you. I mean, we both have shaved heads and beards. I guess it's not terribly distant, but like,
Right. I get what you're saying though.
but that has some ability to think through things. And I think it works both ways. I think that's really important. So like if whether or not the song Sweet Home Alabama was intended to be synonymous like when it was written with the Confederate flag, with racism, with in Birmingham we love the governor, go fuck yourself Neil Young, um
Right.
is almost immaterial now because that's what it has come to mean now.
Okay, so this is what I mean. When you when you don't audit these circumstances, you let an imaginative and an intelligent mind run wild. I'm gonna quote W.E.B. Du Bois, who said, "To stimulate wildly weak and untrained minds is to play with mighty fires."
Mm-hmm.
And so, what you do with a song like this, when you don't explain it or you don't take it down, this is what I mean. Listen to how deep I'm about to take it. For a black person, it'll be like this. It's like, okay, so this song came out in 1974. It's like, okay, so these guys were around when Dr. King and Brother Malcolm were assassinated. They look like the type of white guys that were happy when they died. So I
the
can't trust them.
the Birmingham governor they're talking about is George Wallace, right? Like that's not
Feel
okay.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the trust is gone. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's
There are to be 100% like about the history of the song. Just to be clear that Ronnie Van Zant, there are two guys that wrote it. He was one of them, the guy who died in the plane crash. He said in the 70s that it wasn't intended to be about George. It was intended to be about George Wallace, but it was intended to be like, what is your problem, George Wallace? That is not how it comes off in the song, obviously. Um,
it sounds like a little
the
saving
frame of the
face too.
verse, like the second half of that verse, is about Watergate, right? Which is also
Right.
happening about this time. Um,
Right.
and what he said about it was that Neil Young, when he had a song called Southern Man, and was blaming all of Southern men for slavery. And what Ronnie Van Zant said in an interview was that he was like aiming for a couple people who were the ones responsible for it, but it was like shooting everybody instead of just the couple people responsible for it. I'm not going to like support that argument. I'm just telling you what he said. All right.
Right.
But the other guy who co-wrote the song like much later in like 2008 or 9 or whatever said was like meant to be in support of everything Alabama represented at that time,
Mm-hmm.
including George Wallace. So I'm just saying I've read two different versions of what the song was intended to be by the two people who were there when it was written. Um,
See, okay, so this is what I'm
so
saying though, is that
I'm not saying that you should. I just want to like clarify and make sure we're all clear about what they say the history of the song is.
no, granted. But what it really looks like from the outside looking in is that however or whenever it happened, somebody took it and made it into that and they didn't stop it.
Right.
This isn't a I'm a little bit older now, I'm more mature. So I try to look at it like this. When I make a mistake
Mm-hmm.
as a grown man, Andrew, no matter how long it takes, I try to correct it.
Right.
You know, now you know some personally stuff about what I'm going through. It's part of why I'm even the way wearing the shirt that I'm wearing about Fire's disease. Have you seen my Let's Put Out Fire shirt?
Mm-hmm. I have.
Okay, I didn't know if you watched the show the other day.
No.
Well,
I saw
I
the
didn't
tweet about it,
understand.
I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't understand how losing Halo affected her. Like, because I hadn't gone through it. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? But then I started talking to somebody professionally.
Mm-hmm.
And they began to help me understand some things.
Yeah.
And I can see that some of the things that I did were wrong.
Yeah.
Because what she really needed was my love and my support. And so she's not here, but getting all my love and all my support now because the awareness needs to be raised so that she doesn't have to feel alone. You feel me?
Yeah.
That's what you do when you don't handle something properly.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was right. Turns out I was wrong.
Yeah. And if you're a
What are we
mature
going to
human being,
do
you say,
about
shit, I
that?
was wrong. Sorry. Like,
Right.
what do I need to do to fix this?
Right. And that's and so now we're getting down to people's moral compass and integrity and fabric.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now here's the problem, Andrew. Over here, my people will tell you your people are lacking that shit, and this is the evidence.
I can't
you
argue
know,
with that really.
you
As a
know,
generalization, I can't argue with
as a
that at all.
generalization, yes, not to castigate you. You have to understand that what's happened has put a large faction, and I don't think white people understand how many black people don't fuck with them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't think white people get it. It's like I think white Americans still has this idea in their mind like they need to get away from black people. It's like most black people don't want to be anywhere close to you. You have no idea. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
It's like no, most like when white people go build out some new area, black people be like, "Good, get the fuck on." Yeah. So it's like that's what I mean. It's like that's why this podcast is important to me because it's like no. I see these things because I'm one of the few black people I know. Like, how about this? I'm the only black guy I know with white friends like this that doesn't get labeled a sellout of some sorts. But
Right.
that's just because I'm just built a certain type of way. It's real hard to call me that. You know what I'm saying? Because to call me that, it's like you're gonna have to be a certain type of way as a black man to be able to call me that. And there are very
Right.
few black men like me that care about their community. You get what I'm saying? It's like, oh, well, you got to care about your community more than I do to come at me with that. Most black men don't care about their community more than this.
Yeah.
So they have to shut the fuck up when I step in the room. You feel me? Whether it's a white person, oh, I'll show up with 10 white people. Won't a motherfucker say a word, Andrew? Everybody know. You know what I'm saying? But I'm the only black guy I know that like got his like black card that's walking around like that I know. Because even the black guys that I know that get down with white people, I be looking at them sometimes. I'll be like, and so like these songs, you know, that's and it's so funny. You want to know what's so ironic? The other group brings us together so much. Everybody fucking loves OutKast.
Exactly.
So this could be any more diametrically opposed because I can't think of a group that white people love. I can't think of a black hip hop group or a black artist that people in hip hop that people love, that white people love more than OutKast, except for maybe Wu-Tang. But Wu-Tang's for everybody, including the children.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, OutKast is like white people's go-to rap group. So you know, here we are. Tell me some of your thoughts, and we can kind of transition to the song. Whoever think the short song would be ATLiens? We're spending less time talking about ATLiens.
No, I mean,
no, it's good.
No, it's important though because I mean I did it on purpose because I wanted to hear your thoughts about it. Like that was an intentional choice on my part.
No, I dig it.
Because like I said before, Sweet Home Alabama is more right now anyway in 2023 is more of a cultural symbol than it is a song, right? And like I can enjoy the melody parts of it, I guess, but it's becoming, and the more we do the show, that it's maybe it's just me getting older too, I don't know, but it's getting harder and harder to separate out the problematic parts of it from right for the same reason I can't listen to the Ignition remix the same way I used to, right?
So that's what I'm saying. So if it's problematic, let's address it and eradicate it. And this is what I mean about addressing and eradicate it. It's like somebody was in the chat on According to Hip Hop, Andrew, and they were like, because you know I be talking shit about R. Kelly.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going, and I'm
people have a problem with talking shit about R. Kelly on the internet.
We've had that. Keep on, and I'm gonna keep on doing it too, because history will repeat itself if you don't remind people.
Yep.
And people will start thinking things are okay, especially people who are rich and with money and with wealth and with influence. They think things are okay that are not okay. But if somebody keeps on reminding people how okay it's not, people will hesitate a little bit more.
And they should.
Somebody in the chat was like, keep that same energy about Michael Jackson. And this is what I mean. And I'm dead ass serious when I say this. There ain't no damn tapes of Michael Jackson having sex with minors.
Right.
There's conjecture. There's lecture. A lot of it is based on how you feel. I don't like some of the stuff that I hear.
Right.
You understand?
And it's not just like there's one, not that one tape would be acceptable, but there's dozens for Mr. Kelly.
Right. But understand, in the case of Michael Jackson, we're talking about conjecture and lecture. No, in the R. Kelly, in the case of R. Kelly, Andrew, this motherfucker is literally sitting in a room by himself, positioning himself to be in the camera shot before the girl's even there. I don't have that shit with Michael Jackson. I've got Billie Jean and Beat It. Kiss my ass.
Yes.
That's the videos I have of Michael Jackson.
Want to be starting.
You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
That's what I mean about waving this flag. It's like, oh, you don't want me to be pissed off? Take it down. You think Michael Jackson did it? Show me the tape. I'm gonna keep talking shit about R. Kelly because I seen the fucking tape. He's a nasty bastard.
And it doesn't mean that we excuse one person because somebody else did it too. Like that's ignorant also.
Right. And this is what I mean. Is it's like, oh no. I was just talking about this Bill Cosby shit too. Oh, don't tell me motherfuckers ain't know. Same thing with this fucking shit. Don't tell me motherfuckers ain't know R. Kelly. No, stop that. When you work in the industry, everybody knows each other's dirt. That's why I'm saying. So There are people in the music and the film industry that knew what this Lynyrd Skynyrd song was, and they said, fuck it anyway. They literally said, fuck these niggas.
Mm.
That's how black people take it.
Yeah.
When you allow it to go on. That's why I'm not allowing the R. Kelly shit to go on. That's why when Kanye did the Donda concert, I'm like, no, he stole our money and I want my money back.
Yeah.
It ain't that hard. Call it like you see it. Stop letting your whiteness interfere with our progress. Don't know how else to put it.
I should put that at the end of the episode. That would be
Right.
That's the
Don't let your whiteness interfere with our progress, because that's really what it is. It's like y'all just covering for this motherfucker because he's white. They just covering for Lynyrd Skynyrd because they white. It's like that's all you got. This is what I mean. The song ain't even that good.
yeah. Is the modern corollary that we can bring up briefly is the Dixie Chicks, who like took the Dixie out of their name on purpose because they said like, because they, when they came out or whatever, they were like, they didn't think of it as being that bad, and then they realized that, oh, actually this is a problem, so they took it out. Like,
Right, because Dixie comes from Mason-Dixon line,
right,
as in what divided the Confederacy from the
right,
Union.
right.
Yeah, you
And they
see,
still
but
play
those
Dixie at like Mississippi football games. I mean, all that kind of shit too, right? Like, so it's
Ole Miss, yeah,
yes, it's a
but they were savvy enough and intelligent enough and progressive enough to say, hey, that was wrong that we did that, and we
we're
like
not
to
doing it
correct it.
anymore.
And our correction is that we're going to keep on making music, but guess what? We're not going to release it under that name because we can understand that we were wrong and that we did something wrong. And
Not
here's
only
the
that, we
correction.
were going to go back and change, like on Spotify for like all the previous stuff too. We're changing it
Right. It all
there
says the
too.
chicks now. Correct. This is getting, look, Lynyrd Skynyrd got it wrong. Chicks got it right.
Exactly, and
Next
that was my
song.
point, right?
Next song. No, you're absolutely right. But like I said, there's ways to handle this. It's like you haven't you ain't heard nobody in no black community kicking up no shit about the Dixie Chicks because they
Nope.
dropped the Dixie. Hello. It's like, oh no, you didn't know? Come here, let me coach you. Drop the name. Ah, got a point. See what you're trying to say. It's fucking 2000 something. Shit don't look good. Drop.
Yep.
It's like it's 1974. It's like, hey, Dr. King and Malcolm X just got assassinated. Civil rights just passed.
Mm.
Somebody with a social moral compass and conscience in music would like to, maybe, I don't know, kill the record. And this is what I mean. And I audit these circumstances properly. We've been having talk on According to Hip Hop, and I don't feel like Who Shot You should have ever been released.
Mm.
Circumstances weren't audited properly. Tupac just got shot.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
released the record. They released the record within a week of Pac getting shot. I don't care if the record's about him or not. It's done in poor taste. Don't release the record.
Yeah.
I say that about I don't give a fuck who in the black community don't like it. Kiss my ass. It's wrong.
Yeah.
I don't care about your blackness or your whiteness when it's wrongness.
Right. And
it's wrong. Don't drop
that's
the
one of the
record.
center points of the show, right?
Yes.
You can say it about right and wrong. You can say it as we do with most things about whether we love songs or not, right? Like whether this is not a song that we love, Sweet Home Alabama. ATLiens is a song that I love, to be fair. And it makes me nervous about coming out and saying that because you just got through saying that OutKast is all the white people's favorite music or white people's favorite. It is because it's more melodic than a lot of other hip hop songs. I mean, like
I've
it
noticed that
has more
over
singing
time.
stuff than most hip hop groups do, and it's based in funk too, and not just hip hop. I think is a lot of it.
OutKast hip hop is different.
Yeah,
it's not core hip hop, and I think
right.
that's why. Yes.
Yeah. Like the first note I wrote about this is this might be my favorite hook in all of hip hop. Like the song.
Oh, really?
Like, no, I'm not arguing that it's the best. Don't come at me, not you, but like people don't come at me like that. I'm not arguing it's the best, but I'm saying it's my favorite, my personal favorite. And I think there's a southernness of that too. I mean, of his pronunciations, like going out of the way to air and do all that kind of thing. It's such a good song on so many levels. It's in contrast to the other one. I mean, it works actually, honestly, like a roll down your window, drive down the road in the summertime kind of song as well. It's it's a joyful thing for me in a way that a lot of other songs aren't, I guess.
I think part of what made this record stick for me initially was, I don't know, Elevators is really their breakthrough record, in
Right.
my opinion, which is the single before this. Elevators, the
Mhm.
first single off ATLiens, the
Okay.
song ATLiens being the second single. I think the hook to Elevators is better because I think the hook to Elevators is one of the best hooks ever. Like,
I
period.
can't argue with that. Again, I'm not saying this one's the best. I'm saying like I like it the best.
Right. No, no, no. But let me tell you why I like the hook. Because in 1996, this out these first two songs off of ATLiens,
Mhm.
it's double downing that Southern rap is here to stay.
Right.
And that we have a voice in it because of
Mhm.
how the hook is being enunciated.
Yeah.
Air, fish and grits, and all the pimp shit.
Yeah.
They're doubling down on it. And so, as a Southern black man, hip hop fan, OutKast fan, it's like check, 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 check.
Yeah.
That's why this is one of the reasons why they were so big down here. Just real quick, and I've said this before because I believe we've done a show on Elevators. You know, Big Boi's best hook work is on OutKast albums
Mm-hmm.
because these hooks are Big Boys, including this one.
Yeah.
This is not
We have talked
Andre.
about this. I think we did talk about when we talked about Rosa Parks, I believe is
Rosa Parks, that's it.
when we did it.
Yeah, the aha, hush that fuss.
Yeah.
Right. This is Big Boy's legendary hook game strikes again.
So good, man. Like,
because don't, and this is what I mean. People need to understand. Please do not think that Andre wrote this hook. Throw your hands in the air,
wave them
like you just don't care.
Yeah.
And if you like fish and grits and all the pimp shit,
everybody
that's definitely Big Boi.
Yeah.
I think we've all heard Big Boi most of our lives now. That's Big Boi. And, you know, and now, and this is what I mean. I look at this record in hindsight now. This is actually where the separation started. The separation between them started early in terms of Andre kind of venturing off because Big Boi's last verse on this song, every day I sit while my nigga be in school, thinking about the second album at the dungeon shooting pool.
Yeah.
So he's in the studio laying down tracks waiting for Andre to get there.
Yeah.
So this started.
I can hear it. That's not a thing that I ever would have heard before. We had these.
That's what I mean.
When I listened to According Hip Hop, and when I listened, we had our conversation about Rosa Parks. I started listening for it, and you can hear it in this song. I mean,
you can hear it, but you can hear it in a lot of the songs. It's like you can hear, especially on OutKast's second and third albums, where Big Boi is there. And Andre comes and fills in gaps and dances around.
Yeah.
But Big Boi is the core, man. But see, this is what I mean too. But Andre is so special that all everybody was talking about on this song was his verse. My oral illustration be like clitoral stimulation to
yes, it's an incredible verse. It's very good.
It is. It's typical. I mean, it's typical, you know, brilliant, mind-blowing Andre. Yeah. But what is it without that hook? What is it without Big Boi? You get what I'm saying? Like, what is it really without that? Because it's like, no, you need that hook.
Yeah.
You need that hook.
Yeah. And everything from what you've said, and I can see it in this song particularly, everything you see that Big Boi has built the platform and the frame and the picture frame and everything else. Like you said, that verse and the second half of the last verse too don't really work without that frame. And at least not in the same way. I mean, it's.
You want to know what? How about this? Here's a quicker and more like cut to the point. As far as within a group setting is concerned, Big Boi is the best setup man of all time. Like ever. Because a lot of Dre's greatness, I don't think people understand. We don't know if it works without Big Boi.
Right.
And when it's worked best, it's worked with Big Boi. Like most of Dre's memorable moments as an MC or on songs where Big Boi did the hook. Elevators and ATLiens, specifically on this album, like right here, here. Yeah.
And Rosa Parks too. Like
that's what I mean, but it's Like, but and that's not to say Dre's not talented. You know what I'm saying?
He
Like,
is.
like the Equimini record, I think that's Dre's hook. Even the sun goes down.
Yeah, that
Heroes
sounds like Dre.
eventually die. Horoscopes often lie, and sometimes why nothing is for show. Nothing is no. That's
That sounds like
Dre.
Dre.
That's Dre. Aha, hush that fuss.
Mm-mm.
Me and you, your mama and your cousin too.
Yeah.
Fish and grits and pimp
No.
shit. Hold on. It's like that now. You better go get the hump up out your back now. There's about 4, 5 cats off in my lap now. Y'all think Andre 3000 wrote that? Stop that. His best stuff is with Big Boi. Big Boi's the best setup man ever. And so when I can go back to this record in 1996 and be like, man, Big Boi been holding this shit down very, very long
Long
time.
time.
And part of the reason why I highlight Big Boi so much when we have these OutKast conversations, because all everybody else does is run around and highlight Andre.
Mm-hmm.
And quite frankly, they're the greatest duo ever because the other guy is damn near just as great as he is. Like Andre is the superior MC, but let's understand this. Andre's not the hook writer that Big Boi is.
Mm-hmm.
Andre's not the full song maker that Big Boi is.
And he's not the superior MC by as much as people say he is. It's not by much.
It's how about this? Let's say that Andre had solo material. For me personally, he would be top 5.
Mm-hmm.
But objectively, he would probably be like 7 or 8 or 9.
Mm-hmm.
Big Boi would be like 19 or 20.
Right.
Not no like the
Not
Billboard
50.
thing where like
Yeah.
well the Billboard thing where Andre's like 12 or 13, like 12. I think he's 12 because they got Rakim
Mm-hmm.
at 13. They got Andre at 12, but Big Boy's not on the list. It's like no, that is
No,
the
no, no,
most
no, no.
upset ever. Now,
That's
how
that's
are they the
disrespect. That's
greatest?
disrespectful.
Now, how are they the greatest duo of all, rap duo of all time? When one guy's ranked at 12 and one guy's not ranked. No, that's absurd. Like in a vacuum, and this is what I mean with Andre. People talking about his talent more than his output. That's why I talk
Yeah.
about Big Boi. It's like, oh no, because Big Boi's talent is comparable, but he has the output, and that's why they are way closer together in MCing. Now Andre can do some things on the mic that Big Boi can't. But how about this? Of all the great MCs, nobody sounds as great as Andre does using simple words. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like none of the other MCs sound as great as he does using simple words. Maybe Tupac. Like the word usage, actually. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah.
Like the words that he's using. Like this is what I mean. Need some hope. Like the words maybe, if, or probably. More
Mm-hmm.
than a hobby. When my turntables get wobbly, I don't fall. I'm sorry, y'all. I often drift. Where's the complicated words? Where's that deep? But it's brilliant, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
He's the only guy other than Tupac that uses simple words and that type of brilliance, and it's just like, oh, now Big Boi can't do that, but I would submit to you that I think the only other person I've seen do that is Tupac, and he does
Yeah.
it succinctly different than Andre does it. You know,
Mm.
so it's like when people talk about how Andre special Andre is, it's like, yeah, well, he's special in relationship to like a lot of guys in regards to that. But this is what I mean. Well, everybody got special gifts. It's like I don't know any like me and Mike talk all the time. It's like Nas has a greatest hits of stories, Andrew.
Mm-hmm.
Like he could take stories that he's written and do a greatest hits album with. It's like ain't nobody in rap got that. You know what I'm saying? You can make
Mm-hmm.
a greatest hits just off their storytelling songs. It's like so people need to understand different MCs come with different special attributes. And for some reason, I think Andre's attributes have been highlighted to the detriment of Big Boi. You know what I'm saying? It's like
Mm-hmm.
so it's like I'm never trying to downplay Andre. I'm trying to play Big Boi up and give him what he deserves because he deserves equal billing in this duo. Because
Mm-hmm.
these hits, because most of all their hit records, them Big Boi hooks.
Yep.
Like almost all of them. We're listening to 2 of them right now. This is yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Now Players Ball and Southern Playalistic. I don't think they came up. How about this on their first album? I don't think they came up with the hooks to any of those by themselves. I think those were all group efforts. The Southern Playalistic, Players Ball, and Get Up, Get Out. I
Mm-hmm.
think Organized Noise and Goody Mob and all of them came up with those
Mm-hmm.
together. But these hooks starting off ATLiens, no, that's Big Boi. Because Big Boi's the one at the dungeon shooting pool, waiting on Andre to get out of class. That's what I
But
hear
also
when
the
I
other
hear the
things that are all the stuff that's quotable. Well, not that Dre's verses aren't quotable, but like the stuff that sticks in my head is all Big Boy stuff. Both the hook and the Polar Bear's toenails and the Daddy Fat Sacks BIGBOY. Like all of those things are Big Boys.
I mean, I'll tell you what. I used to get in arguments with people about this. I personally thought Big Boy's verse was better than Andre's on this record.
I like it better personally, like, but like
You
I
can
don't obviously I'm not
you
considering
can't
myself a
say
hip
that to
hop
people.
expert,
Like
but
you can't say that
to
to
my ear, like it's more enjoyable.
it is like you can't, and it's more on topic. More on topic because he wrote the song.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
like, well, this is what I mean. If you listen to an OutKast song, Andre just go wherever he feel like. Big Boy B's like keeping it together and staying on the message and staying on the
He's the
topic.
one
You know what
providing
I'm
the
saying?
frame, right? He's provided the frame for the
He usually provides the frame. So, I just want to, when we take time to like highlight these OutKast records, I'm probably going to be highlighting what Big Boy does because it doesn't get highlighted. Like, when people talk about these OutKast records, like they really treat it like Big Boy just like did this verse and then like walked out the studio. I'm like, he was the one that was there. I was like, the other guy did the verse and walked out.
yeah.
And if you listen to the records, that's how they sound. Like you can tell creatively because they are peanut butter and jelly who did what hooks. You can go back and listen.
Yeah.
Like Two Dope Boys in a Cadillac, that's Andre. ATLiens, it's Big Boy. Wheels of Steel, Andre. Elevators, Big Boy. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
What's the bigger records? Because it looks like when
Yeah.
one guy's writing, the records get bigger.
That seems pretty straightforward to me.
I'm saying two Dope Boys and Wheels of Steel are two of my favorite songs in OutKast, period.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as this hit making shit goes, well, Elevators and ATL is way bigger than Two Dope
Okay.
Boys and Wheels of Steel. Now, who wrote what hooks? Now, the other guy greater? Are you sure? That's all I be saying. It's like if the other guy is greater, then why did the hooks that the other guy wrote end up being the bigger songs that you're telling me that the guy is great on? Like the songs that people say that he's great on, it's like, the other guy wrote the hook too, right?
And almost always does the first verse and almost always yeah.
Yeah. So fresh, so clean. Hello.
Mm-hmm.
Which guy you think made that song? Like literally, listen to the song. It's like Dre literally comes in at the end and this is what I mean. He does what he wants. He made the song into a sexual experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, that's not where we started, but
Big Boi talking about stunting at the car show.
exactly.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Ain't nobody dope as me. I'm just so fresh, so cool. Who wrote that? Better stop playing. Stop playing with Big Boi. So all I'll be wanting is people to put respect on Big Boi's name. To sew just up this up, it's like, well, what America probably needs. I hope this gets to Andre is a little bit more OutKast, actually. So I really think the best way to sew this up because, I didn't realize the OutKast impact in your community until Stankonia. And I think that's when they kind of became a thing in the
Miss
white
Jackson
community.
is when they became a thing in the wider world.
Okay.
So that's my memory of it anyway.
Okay. That's the second single off Stankonia. So not even Bombs Over Baghdad.
No, I was not familiar with Bomb. Miss Jackson, this is obviously, extrapolating from a memory that's however many years old, 25, 30 years old. Miss Jackson is the first song by OutKast that I remember being aware of.
Okay.
And I was not aware of Bombs Over Baghdad until much later. It was Miss Jackson and So Fresh, So Clean, and then I kind of worked my way backwards from there, honestly.
Okay. Well, because of that, that's what I'm saying. But a lot of people in your community have worked their way back with OutKast and are familiar the way that we are with OutKast, and they're really, really beloved. And much like what you and I are trying to do, I do feel like that's part of music's place in our society. It's a chance for us to come together, not come apart. And so when you use song and instrumentation as a tool of destruction, it's just very, very dangerous. And so I think the best thing that we can do is highlight the destructive nature of one.
Yeah.
And encourage the progressive nature of another. What say you?
I agree. And I think it's also equally important to the wider discourse, both about music and about society in general, that I don't want to be like the figurehead of something like this, but like to redefine what it means to be Southern and to be a man in the South. Like it's like when people around the world and around the country really even think of Southern man, they're thinking of Ronnie Van Zant. They're thinking of Sweet Home
Mhm.
Alabama. Like that's the stereotype. The point is
That's
that we are that what it means to be Southern and a man from this area of the country doesn't have to mean that. There's are many different kind of people from this part of the country as there are as many different kind of people from everywhere else. And I love and that's why I love talking about the ATLiens too, is because that also presents a different image of what what Southern man could be too. Because if we're being honest, when you hear in the wider culture Southern man, you're talking about a white man usually. Like that's usually what that means.
I was actually while you were naming all of those names, I was thinking like, and just off stigma, black people a lot of times don't even listen to country music outside of Dolly Parton.
Yeah, right.
It's like no, it's like I fuck with Dolly Parton, and then it's like,
Hmm.
but
And some of
some of
the
that is
older
the
stuff
look.
is some of my favorite music too.
But this is what I mean. But some of that is the look because we in Black society are talking. It's like like Wrangler jeans, cowboy
Hmm.
boots, big old hat, plaid shirt. Well, it's like you don't like niggas.
Sorry, I can't.
I'm sorry.
Um,
Like it's that
no,
simple. It's one of
that's a
those.
stereotype. I mean, it's the same
Yeah,
thing as do
yeah,
rags and sagging pants. I mean,
yeah. Do rags
it's the
and hoodies.
stereotypes, right? I mean, it's
Right.
just the kind of thing that you go with.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, but
It's like
Willie Nelson wears bandanas and cowboy hats too, right?
right. I'm a notorious hoodie wearer. Does that make me thugged out? Like I wear hoodies all the time. So yeah, there's stereotypes to be had on both sides. You know what I mean? Like there are songs. Like I probably wasn't going to listen to Folsom Prison Blues by myself, Andrew.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Probably
That's some
wasn't.
good shit.
But it was good. It was really good.
Hmm.
Hmm.
We won't have to
But
do
that's
an
the
episode
artist.
about Willie Nelson before much longer, too. I mean,
Hold
Willie
on, hold
is,
on. If you want to know what I was wrong, hold on. Black people fuck with Willie Nelson too. Willie
yeah,
and
they
Donald.
do.
Yeah. But see, even with Willie, a lot of it's just because well, he smokes weed and it's like fuck the man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, black people relate to that. It's like, oh,
And there's a lot of outlaw country people
right.
that
Well, he's
are
anti.
kind of in that.
Well, think about it. He likes to smoke weed and he's anti-establishment. It's like, well, come on to the barbecue. We got some ribs over here. Potato
Mhm.
salad's right there. Just like some macaroni. Come on in, Willie.
Yeah, it's and it's part of and it's been a part of his like ethos for forever too.
Yeah.
It's not
Oh
just
no,
like
it's
a thing that
legit.
he's putting on. That's for
No,
real.
it's legit. It's legit. He about that life. No, we've heard the stories about that life.
The
Mhm.
the the most famous of those stories that would be cross cultural is that Snoop said the
Snoop
only
story.
time that he got like too high was with Willie Nelson.
Yep.
That was the only time in his whole life that he can remember.
Hey, that
This
matters to
stuff's too
black people.
much. It
That
was with
matters to
Willie.
black people. You understand that? It's like
Yeah,
Snoop up here. It's like, oh, he smoked Snoop down. It's like that's a bad white boy.
yeah. He's
Come on.
really something else. But my point though is that there are a lot of people that are not on Willie's level, but there are a lot of that's not there are lots of country singers and there are lots of Toby Keith country singers. There are. I'm not going to pretend they're not. But like it's but there are a lot of them that aren't too.
Right.
The whole outlaw deal too. We'll have to get into that sometime, but it's not the point of I guess it kind of is the point of the episode, really. Like we come in we contain multitudes. We're not just a simple um redneck flag waving.
Indeed. I mean, it's deeper than that. Of course it is. But just going to continue working on bridging these gaps. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But also too, it's like the music just quality just wasn't there for all of this either. I think that's
Yeah,
just the music lover in me is like
right,
this song has gotten this type of fanfare for
right.
this long. Like, for all the cultural discourse, we're usually having that cultural discourse in the process of talking about great music.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I would at least like the music to be there. That's the part of it that leaves me feeling uneasy as a black man. It's almost like, man, they really elevated this song to canonized status when it doesn't deserve it musically.
Yeah.
Like, let's look at the inverse of something like that, like Strange Fruit by Billie Holiday.
Hmm.
Well, no, the actual vocal performance and delivery is epic and iconic.
Yes.
It's not just the words and the dissemination or the stance that's being
Right.
taken.
Yeah.
The music and the quality of songwriting is there.
Hmm.
That's why Strange Fruit is one of the greatest songs ever, too. It's not just what it represents.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's
You have to
musically,
have both things to be an icon. I guess what we're saying in summary is that this song, particularly Sweet Home Alabama, has a place in culture that perhaps it doesn't deserve musically.
yes, it feels elevated because of its whiteness and because of what it represents to a white demographic that wishes my people were still oppressed.
Yeah. And ATLiens, on the other hand, is a shot of pure joy. Like it's a happy song. It's
It is.
a fun song. It is Southern in a I don't want to say Southern in a socially acceptable way, but like Southern in a different and new and
It's actually
beautiful and a beautiful way that is about bringing people together and not about putting them apart.
it's very southern in an everyday people type of way.
Yeah.
Like in terms of the atmosphere it provides. Like when Big Boy, because I'm cooler than a polar bear's toenails. Oh hell, there we go again, talking that shit. Bend corners like I was a curve. I struck a nerve.
Hmm.
You know,
I
it's
love that song.
fun.
Yeah.
It's another day in the neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? Kind of
Hmm.
feel too. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? Because they're discussing a few issues in there,
Yeah.
but it's not too heavy. It's
It's a
really
dancing
about
song.
enjoying. It's really about enjoying the day. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And there's room and place and space for that too in hip hop. It doesn't always have to have like some deep, powerful message. Sometimes the record's
Right.
just dope. ATLiens is an example of a record just being dope. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
It's fun. And you can, and that's part of why we listen to music is that it brings us joy, right? Like we didn't, I've not talked about Give Me Three Steps really on this show, which is another Lynyrd Skynyrd song, but it's a dancing song. Like it, and it doesn't have any of the racial, I hadn't looked at the lyrics that closely, but it's doesn't have the same cultural cachet. Like if I've said that name, most people, have you heard that name before? Heard the name of that
Mm-mm,
song? Okay. Yeah. So,
mm-mm.
and if my
I'm
point
not
is, if
familiar.
you haven't heard it, then most people probably wouldn't have heard it. And
I'm I'm
it's a
only
joyful
familiar
thing.
with yeah, I'm only familiar with Lynyrd Skynyrd because of Sweet Home Alabama. I mean, and that's what I mean is it's like it's not the style of music that I typically listen to.
Right.
Even the riff, it's like
Yeah.
that's not stylistically what I usually
Right.
listen to if I do listen to alternative music, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like how about this? You know what was playing all day yesterday? I mean, you saw it on Twitter. I've been playing The Chain by Fleetwood Mac. Like
Mhm.
that's my shit. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's what I mean. Even if you don't even if you don't like alternative or pop or folk like ish music, like how can you listen to that song and be like not hear how great that is? You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? It's like
Right.
you got an ear for music. It's like because the chain is just brilliant. You can
Yes,
feel
it
it.
is.
Damn the way you lie. It's like, oh no, no, no. It's there. Like Leonard Skinner record. No, no, not there.
Yeah. That's probably the most critical we've been about a record on in this show. But like, I think it's an important thing that the show can't always be like this is amazing. Like it can't always be that.
No, it need to be it needs to be the reality of it. Like we need to put up here and say it. It's like, oh no, this record has probably been elevated about its whiteness, not about this quality, and it's very problematic. And we need to start having these uncomfortable conversations and making people uncomfortable so things really do start to change and that it's not just, pointless discourse.